Today we're going to take a look at who is the entrepreneur. When we think about entrepreneurship, there are many different facets. There are competitors, there is the economy, there are markets and other factors, but it's the entrepreneur that's at the heart of the matter. So for that reason, we want to take a look at the entrepreneur themselves and think about the different types and the different facets and the different motivations of entrepreneurs. So here we can take a look at a few parallels. We have lifestyle entrepreneurs and fast growth entrepreneurs. We have entrepreneurs that are interested in local goals and entrepreneurs that are interested in broader national or regional or global goals. We have high tech, we have low tech. We have serial, and that they are doing multiple ventures, one after the other. We have multiple. We have entrepreneurs that may aim to do multiple ventures at the same time. We have entrepreneurs that start companies, that inherit companies, that buy companies. And we have franchise and franchise-based entrepreneurs. When you think about which of these are entrepreneurs, which ones are more of an entrepreneur than others, which one might be necessarily employing or engaging in the act of entrepreneurship in a bigger way, fundamentally, it comes down to what matters to you. It comes down to what it is that motivates you, where within these you see yourselves. All of these are entrepreneurs. All of these are pursuing big goals. All of these are making risk at various levels. All of these are investing their time in something that may not work out. But nonetheless, they have a passion for what they're doing. They're looking at trying to have success in these various molds. And so when we talk about entrepreneurship and who's the entrepreneur, we're going to look very broadly. And so next we're going to take a look at a company called Squarespace and what they've done to launch their venture. This is a company called Squarespace that is a 2005 computer science major from Maryland that started this company. Let me show you what they're doing now. This is maybe a 90-second piece.
Create your own space at squarespace.com.
Okay, so what do they do? What's the business based on what you saw?
Creating websites for other businesses.
Creating websites for other businesses?
Providing like the materials to make your
Okay, providing the tools to make your own site.
Yeah.
So they are not a web design company. They are not a website creation provider in the sense of them doing the work. They provide the tool by which others can do the work. So in that way, it's a website building tool. Is that a hard thing to build?
Really?
These days, it's easier than it once was. And so he built this in his dorm room by himself and got a few customers, made some enhancements, improvements, got a few more customers. And so by the time he was graduating, he was doing about $200,000 a year in revenue. And for a software company, the profitability was enough that he could pay himself something. And it was maybe not the $90,000 he could make at Zynga, but it was enough to pay rent and car, and somewhat comparable to what he would need. How big can this get? Why can it get very big?
People find out about it. I mean, there's many other sites out there. This is already like a known. There's like other people have done this before.
Okay.
Competition.
So it's competitive, and Yahoo has been in this space for a while. Many of your GoDaddies and your Webs and others are in this space, but he's tried to differentiate himself by having something that's more of a premium offering, something you don't need to be a web developer to know how to use, but if you are, you probably have a bit of an advantage, and that, again, you can do a number of things that make it more robust and more user-friendly from a design perspective. So last year they did $17 million in revenue, and in 2010 they raised $38 million in venture capital on a $100 million valuation. What that means is that he raised $38 million to reinvest in the growth of the company and sold 38% of the company to do that, meaning he still retained 62% minus whatever co-founder and or early investors he had. Arguably net worth $20 million for a piece of software he wrote in his room. So Scott's going to exceed that with VentureBoard. But the model's not that different. Let me use my skills, my knowledge, build something that I think people will value, charge them, and he charges like $20 a month. So it's not like he's charging people thousands of dollars for this, but you just need a lot of people for the numbers to add up. And in time, it's grown and it's scaled. He has about 100 employees now. They're based in New York, I think in the Soho area. And in that way, again, they're continuing to grow and expand based on this idea that he had that the site builders, at least of 2005, were not what they could be, and that he could build something that was differentiated and that was better. Mowing lawns. Not a sexy business. You're not going to get $38 million in venture capital. You're probably not going to be worth $20 million by the time you're 30 by mowing lawns. But this was a accounting major, 2010 grad, I believe. Started cutting grass when he was 12. Bought his first truck and hired employees when he was 14. What do you know about buying a truck when you're 14?
Drive.
You can't drive it. So he had to get his mom to take him to the dealership for him to buy the truck for the company that he owned, to buy a truck that he could not legally drive. But he had employees, and they could drive. And so by the time he was in undergrad, he had 6 employees working full-time, all of them his parents' age. He would meet with them before class in the morning, talk with them about the schedule and the routes and what needed to be done that day. They would do the work. After class, in the evenings, afternoons, he would go out, kind of meet, check things out, do some marketing, etc. And so he was generating about $50,000 a year in profit as an undergrad mowing lawns. So in that way, how big can this get?
Pretty big.
Pretty big. There are a lot of lawns to be mowed. And so, again, a few years out of undergrad, this is still what he's doing. He's expanded into, beyond mowing and more, to dumpsters and more. So if mowing lawns is not cool, dumpsters is arguably less cool. Why does he spend $70,000 on a dumpster with a truck that you put these big dumpsters on? And I'm talking dumpsters the size of this room that you would have at construction sites and such. Why does he get into that business?
There's a need for it.
Louder?
Need for it?
There's a need. There's a market. And people will pay a good rate to rent these dumpsters for construction sites and things of that nature. So he has his mowing and more, he has his dumpsters and more. And so again, this is an area, not technology-based, arguably not even a growing area, but certainly a critical need. And it's something that he's been able to identify and leverage and make an impact and have success with that. Now, probably over 10 years that he's been doing this. Surely making a six-figure salary, potentially more than that. But nonetheless, doing kind of what he likes, the way he likes. What about managing people that are older? What about if you have employees that are twice your age? Is that easy? Is that hard?
I think it'd be kind of hard because I know that if I was talking to like a 40-year-old man, he probably wouldn't take me seriously.
Okay.
So you need to definitely like set some ground rules and be like, I'm in charge, you're not.
So I'm in charge, you're not? That's going to do it?
I'm paying your salary.
Oh, I don't know. I think you're close, because I asked him, I'm like, so how is it having these folks that are your parents' age? He was like, well, I treat them respectfully. I pay them competitively, and they don't care how old I am. So in that way, in essence, you know, by being a good manager, by being a good leader, and by, again, having a job that makes sense, that aligns with what they want to do, and paying them what they want to earn, not a problem for him. So in that way, again, he's found something that's worked. This is the product of some 2005 grads, Maryland. Again, all of these are Maryland companies that were started by students. And this was a business major and an engineering major that joined together to start this company that did alert management systems. And what happened, and I believe it was 2003, there was a hurricane on campus, killed 2 students, and nobody really knew what or where was going on and what to do, and do I go inside or outside? And again, fortunately, hurricanes, and I'm sorry, with tornado. Tornadoes are not something we have very often, but it kind of alerted them that there's a need to have something better than a siren that goes off. And if we were to hear a siren now, who knows what we should do? Do we get out of the building? Do we stay in the building? And depending on what the emergency is, the answer is different. So what they've done is they built this system whereby there's a suite of offerings that they have. And so what it started with was this alert beacon that's up on top, and that was something that was placed within high traffic areas. And so you would see these in the hallways, you would see these in the lobbies of buildings on campus. Their clients are universities, office complexes, government facilities, and other areas where you have a lot of people in a dense area. What they then grew that into was, well, let's do alerts on your cell phones. Let's send you an email alert. Let's have something that pops up on your phone, on your desk phone, on your computer. It's integrated with the fire department, with the police department. So if you have terrorism issues, if you have active shooters on campus, and kind of all the crazy things that we're seeing these days, it's a network by which you can communicate and you can let people know what's the emergency and what should they do. And so it's something that, again, they've grown this out. I think there are upwards of 30 or so clients now, about 40 employees. And it started with, again, recognizing a tragedy on campus, wanting to do something about it, and then teaming with a business and engineering person that could build something that would work. And they financed this without any outside money. So to do their first prototype and to get to something that they were satisfied with, and then to get to something that was sellable, cost about $200,000. Where do you get $200,000 from if you don't get it from a bank or you don't get it from an investor? And you don't get it from yourself?
Your parents.
Nope. That's a nice option. I'd take it if I had it. Yep.
Stock market.
Nope. That's essentially yourself. So, yep.
University.
The university. So the university played a central role in it, namely through business plan competitions. And you'll find that as students, you have access to business plan competitions, and even as alumni, and even some competitions that are open wider to people that are working in the region, they were able to raise significant money from winning competitions and grant programs that the university and the state operated. And again, a grant program typically means you get money that's no strings attached. It's not a loan, it's not an investment, it's money. And they're giving you that money because they want you to create jobs or solve some problems and things of that nature. And so again, they're at this intersection of being a for-profit company, but having social impact in the area of public safety. And so in that way, it made them very interesting and attractive for a lot of grant programs and a lot of competitions as well. This is a marketing firm. So a couple of you have talked about marketing as an interest area. So this is a marketing firm that started with a guy from New York, Lee Finkel, that was a DJ. So he was a DJ on campus, and he got popular, and then he started doing weddings and bar mitzvahs and office parties, and that got popular. And then people wanted to put their photos and videos and whatnot up online, so he started getting into web design and found a guy that was good at that. Again, he's not a developer, he's not a web designer, but he found somebody that was, and they partnered up and started this company that focused on helping other companies, and you see a couple of them listed here. And they've done some work with Bravo, and they've done some work with, what is it, these housewives? What do you call them? Real Housewives of New Jersey or whatever it is. So in that way, they've been able to brand and extend that. That started with being a DJ, but recognizing that those customers had other needs. As I begin to fill those needs for those customers, I can serve a different set of customers. And that's grown into this organization called LookThink. And I want to show you a brief clip. Again, this is kind of a promo for their company. It doesn't talk a lot about the product, but it talks a bit about the culture that they have. And I think it's what a lot of companies strive for. Again, this is about 2 minutes.
We have such an amazing mix of personality, talent, and perspective.
Nothing feels forced. I feel like all of the bodies in the room have a purpose here.
When I listen in on conversations that are going on throughout the day, it's
So
amazing
this is the
to hear the
founder.
things that are being said and to see the things that are being done.
Every project that we pull together is the product not of one person, but of a group.
We've got an extremely open office. Everyone sits side by side working with each other.
There's interactivity going on, sort of different groups of people forming and reforming over the course of the day.
I work with some of the most talented people that I've ever met. They're so vibrant and smart.
They're the roll up your sleeves and see what you can do next kind of people.
Things don't stand still here, and it's one of the reasons I love working at LookThink.
There's an energy at LookThink that you don't really find anywhere else.
We have such a good rhythm here, and we have such a good nature and understanding of each other.
It's a community where you should share with your partner if you're laughing at a hilarious YouTube video, or if you found the next great shortcut in coding.
We're not just co-workers. We enjoy each other's personalities, and that's what makes it really exciting here.
When we come to work happy and excited every day, we bring that energy and excitement to our clients as well.
To be able to work with a group of individuals that not only produce at a high level, but are also fun, it makes working together even more enjoyable.
They're open, they're welcoming, there's just so much collaboration that you feel very well taken care of.
Great companies have great employees. But before you get to even employees and companies, you have great people. And they're great people.
We're fun, we're creative, we're open, and together it's a recipe for amazing success.
So one advantage, again, of starting a company is that you get to pick who you work with. Why does that matter? Yep.
You don't work with people that you dislike.
Okay, you find people that you think you will like. And if you work with people you like, hopefully, you're more productive and you have a more engaging experience, and that translates into better results and better client satisfaction. So in that way, again, the element there that they've tried to demonstrate is this environment whereby people are working together, they like what they're doing. Now, it doesn't mean I'll start a company with my friends because they're my friends. Nor will you team in our class because these people are your friends and that they like you. What should be the basis of who you team with, beyond do you like them, which is important.
Based on what that person would be good at.
It's an element of skills. It's an element of capabilities. I would say 4 attorneys that start a company is doomed to fail. Why?
Because they all do the same thing.
There's replication of skill set. What else do attorneys do?
Argue. Fight.
They argue. They also tend to manage risk. So again, if we have 4 people that are risk averse and they're working on trying to manage risk, unless they're going to start a law firm, which might be good, you probably want some different skill sets. And I would say the same thing about 4 marketing majors starting a company. What do marketing folks do? If you were to hire a marketing professional, what would you expect them to do?
Expand your business and sell your product.
Well, marketing people don't sell. Salespeople sell. Marketing is tasked with building awareness and expanding. But what do good marketing folks do?
They promote your company so that
They promote.
They kind of make the image of how people view the company.
Image. There's a single word I'm looking for.
Growth.
Growth. Related to that, we'll do one more. Advertise. A single basis of it is ideas. You need the ideas to grow, the ideas to expand, the ideas to advertise. What happens when you put 4 creative and very idea people in a room together? What do they talk about? Ideas. What do they do? Talk. So in that way, I would argue, and I like marketing people, and I like marketing, but I would argue you might want some finance people in there to talk about, well, what's it going to cost? You might want some operations people to figure out, well, how do we do this? How do we put it into practice? You might want some attorneys to know what's legal and not legal. But again, different skill sets, different capabilities, common interest. You would like people to have a common goal, but that it's not repetitive. I don't need a football team with 11 quarterbacks. They might all be great. They might all be very capable. But again, repetitive. And I'm missing other things that I do need. So again, we looked at a few companies, University of Maryland companies, all companies started by students. Here's some other companies, most of which you probably know. Who's the oldest?
Electronic Arts.
Electronic Arts?
Apple.
Let's do them by hand. So, yep.
Genentech.
Genentech.
I'm going to say Sun Microsystems.
Sun.
I was thinking Dell.
Dell. So we're at 1, 2, 3, 4 different ones. Who's the oldest?
Adobe.
Adobe.
I was thinking Apple.
Apple. I can tell you all these companies are younger than me, and I like to think I'm not that old. But again, Apple, close to Genentech, started in 1976, and these are among the most successful companies in the world. Relatively young. Relatively young. Some of them quite young. What you also see is companies launch in phases. There was something going on in the marketplace that allowed a lot of these companies to start close to one another in time frame. What was going on for these that are circled?
Technology.
Technology, tell me more. This is pre-internet. So 76, 84, 82, pre at least widespread internet.
The rise of computers being practical.
There's an element of practical computers or personal computers, or computers that the common person could use in a business. So we could argue that internet's been around in the 60s with DARPA and things of that nature, but this is before, again, it was commonplace. We could argue that computers were around for a long time before the 70s and 80s, and that's a true statement, but the fact that it was something that the normal person could use, that the normal person could afford, that wasn't what a computer was in the 50s, which was the size of this room and $1 million. It was something that I couldn't even use and that could do nothing for me that I wanted to do. But for something, again, that was practical, a personal computer that would do something, birthed a lot of these companies. The later, and again, the blue circles here, was the internet. And so in that way, again, you typically see companies will emerge as markets or technologies or other forces change. What's that tell you about what you should be mindful of when you're thinking about starting a company?
Oh, what's needed?
What's needed? What about as it's related to what you see here? Yep.
Current events.
What are current events, current activities?
Something that's in the beginning stages of being developed.
What is emerging? What is at the, not necessarily the most popular thing now, but what's going to be popular in the future, couple of years out. And so there were a couple of hockey players. There's a famous Wayne Gretzky quote about why he was able to be successful. Does that ring a bell? Familiar with the quote? Know who Wayne Gretzky is? Okay. So arguably greatest hockey player ever. And when people ask him about how he was able to do what he did, he makes the reference of, I skate to where the puck is going to be. And that he was recognized not as being one that tried to chase around wherever the puck was, not trying to chase the ball down, so to speak, but trying to anticipate where is it going next and how do I put myself in position to be successful on the next step. Another element to recognize here is that these 5 companies have something in common other than being successful and being tech firms, but their founders had something in common.
Weren't all the CEOs college dropouts?
Not dropouts, but students. So in that way, for Apple, Jobs was 20, and he had withdrew from Reed College, but was still going to classes when he started Apple. Facebook, sophomore Harvard dropout. Google, pair of Stanford PhD students. So they went on a leave of absence from their PhD program, but they also had already some degrees under their belt. Michael Dell, University of Texas, started Dell in his dorm room, building computers. What was special about building computers in 1984 when you had Hewlett-Packard, when you had IBM, when you had other big players, Compaq, making computers? What's special about what Dell did? Yep.
Computers could still be improved.
Could be improved. He arguably sold computers that were similar. He didn't invent anything at that time.
Affordability?
They were a bit more affordable in that he went more with a catalog. You used to get your Dell catalog in the mail, and you ordered from the catalog. Not available in retail stores, so it was able to help you as a consumer save money because you didn't have to pay the retail markup. You went kind of directly to the source, so more affordable.
Unique design.
What do you mean by unique?
Well, some of the computers maybe had like some kind of like a different looking design as opposed to some of the other.
And not so much the look, but the components. What you could do if I wanted a really big monitor, but a really small hard drive, but a lot of RAM, I could do that with Dell. I could kind of pick exactly what I wanted. If I went with Hewlett-Packard, if I went with IBM, I went to the store and I bought what was on the shelf. And I had maybe 5 or 6 options, and I bought with whatever was closest to what I wanted. Whereas with Dell, it was something that was a custom built. I would save money. I may have to wait 7 days for it to ship and arrive. But again, didn't invent any components that were different. At the time, they did not sell you anything from a component standpoint that was different, but it was just the creation and the integration of it that was different. And at the end of the day, you were still buying a processor from Intel and a hard drive from Seagate. So they were able to leverage the other brands that were popular in that space. But they just built it custom and have built a successful company from that. Yahoo, again, some PhD students from Stanford, arguably dropouts, but again, went on leave, a couple of degrees under their belt as well. But all college-age folks that started these ventures. So as we talk about who are entrepreneurs, it's important to connect that to what brings their ideas into action. Great ideas are nice to have, but if not executed, they may not be worth a lot. Alternatively, you need to have the idea to really make the venture substantive and successful. So we're going to talk about 3 different pieces and 3 different modules that we'll explore within the course. The first is the Opportunity Analysis Canvas, and this is a map by which you can go through and begin to think about how to develop your entrepreneurial thinking and seeing and acting. We'll also talk about Business Model Canvas and what that does to translate some of these ideas into action and a way also of validating markets. And then we'll talk about business plans as a third piece. So within our course, we're going to take a look at all 3 of these. We'll look through them sequentially, and we'll be going through the opportunity analysis, the business model, and the business plan.